Anyway, Oddsbreaker, I'm Frank Trigg. Of course, that is Bubba Jenkins. Get ready to fight. Who are you fighting? Poppies Martinez, right? Coming up on Bellator, July 25th.
Yep, Poppies Martinez at 45.
Why? I mean, this is another one of these situations where it amazes me how Bellator finds a way to get a guy that's 6-1 and makes a great matchup against a guy that's 29-9. And it's a game matchup. It's not usually when you put two guys together with that kind of record, it's really uneven. But this one's really matched up well. What do you see? I mean, obviously, you've seen a lot of tape on Poppies. What do you see with him when you prepare for this fight?
I see a really scrappy guy, man. He's really tough as far as he just likes to battle. He likes to, you're not gonna just beat up on him. He battles back. He's a really good grappler. I mean, I've seen him. I mean, hit a bunch of guys in a bunch of different guillotines and ankle locks, and he's got really good jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And he just got a lot of heart, man. He just seems like a really tough guy, really, really come forward type of guy. So it's my type of fight.
Has your game plan changed at all? Not you've actually had a chance to get through training camp and kind of look at him, because I know sometimes you go first initial result is that guy's easy, I can beat him, there's no problem. But then you get looking into tapes and you see a little bit of his nuances and you see some of his tells. You start seeing some of those tricky things that he does or does not. Is the game plan still the same as it's always been with you, or have you adapted a little bit?
The game plan changed a little bit. We want to definitely showcase my stand-up ability that I've just been recently working on. I just finally got a hook and a cross and a jab. I finally got some hands up there, so it's changed a little bit. But I mean, everybody knows who I am. Everybody knows what I am and knows what I'm going to do. I can say that I'm on stand up and bang with them, stand up and bang with them. But when I get in there, I think a lot of my old talents and a lot of my old instincts are going to kick in, and more than likely I'm going to hit him with a shot. More than likely I'm going to try to take him down and beat him up. But we definitely want to stand and be a little bit more well-rounded this fight than any other fight, because we've developed a lot better, and I kind of want to showcase that. But like I said, I can say one thing now: he hits me in my face in the fight, don't be surprised if I double leg his ass and we change it back to the old school.
Who's a better coach, Tiki Gorshin or Paul Herrera?
Man, they're equal in their own little ways, man.
Pick one. Get off the fence. You can't just stay equal. Coaches.
Well, the thing about it is, with Paul, I'm learning submissions and wrestling submissions, and I'm doing a lot of conditioning. So in that aspect, he's doing a great job as my coach, and I really, really listen to everything he's saying, and he's, old school. He's been in the game for a long, long time, wrestled at Nebraska, different things like that. So I take my little nuances from him, and then Tiki Golson, he'll teach you how to knock somebody out with, 2 or 3 kicks, and that's something that I definitely wanted to do, stand up wise, punch wise. So, man, I can't get off the fence because they're in totally different categories. One guy's teaching me stand up, bang, knock them out, don't even wrestle, and the other guy's teaching me when you do wrestle, submit them in all kinds of different ways. So, they're completely different. They're apples and oranges. I can't even compare them.
Are both these guys going to corner you in at Pechanga?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Whose voice are you going to hear more of, Paul's or Tiki's?
I'm probably going to hear more of Paul's voice. More of Paul's voice during the fight, more Tiki's voice during the breaks. I'll hear. I mean, Paul's a little bit louder. His voice carries a little bit better, so I'll probably hear him more of during when I'm in there banging around. But once we sit down and everything calms down, they come in, give me water and things like that, I'll probably hear more of Tiki's voice, because it's a little bit more calm and it's a little bit of a relaxing type of voice where he just calms you down and lets you focus on what you just did and what you need to do continuing.
That's an interesting concept. Well, not concept, but a lot of people don't really identify that with their corners, that one guy is loud and has the bigger voice during the actual rounds, and the other guy has the better voice to get your heart rate down and get you ready, showing up for the fight, coming into the second round, get ready for the third round. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal, knowing each guy's position. Now, you know their position. Do they know their position when they come inside the cage in between the first and second round?
I think they definitely do. I mean, this is my third or fourth fight with them, and we've kind of had this strategy the whole way. Paul's not really a guy that has his pride out there on the line. He just wants the best for the fighter. It's not like, hey, it's my turn to coach or your turn to coach. And being that Paul's from a wrestling background, he knows that there's always 2 guys in the corner. It's what you hear at the time, it's what you go to at the time, and whatever's comfortable, whatever's working. If one guy's yelling it and it's working for me, then I think he's just going to allow that situation or that person to continue to talk and yell and things like that. And because I'm used to having the two guys in the corner as a wrestler, I can decipher between what I want to hear and what I don't want to hear. A lot of wrestlers and people like that of my caliber have very selective hearing. So the things that I want to hear, I'm going to hear. The things that I stand up and knock them out, if I'm wrestling really well, I'm probably not going to hear that. So I'm just I'm going to play it by ear.
At my gym down here in downtown LA, that teach MMA wrestling, shameless plug, every Monday and Tuesday night. One of the biggest issues I have is like yelling at a kid in the middle of a live go, and you're like blah blah blah, and they go what? You're like,
and they stop,
dude. You're going live, but you just keep going. You just analyze information, and just go. How much does that frustrate you when you got new guys in the room and you're in the middle of a live go and you're doing stuff, and all of a sudden the kid's good, he's game, he's got some stuff, but he doesn't come from that wrestling background where he knows how to not look at his coach when he's being yelled at. Just identifies the voice and keeps going. That all of a sudden when you're fighting him and you're doing something, he takes a half step back and stops and looks. And then
it's a bittersweet thing. It's a bittersweet thing because we don't. In our room, we don't have those breaks where you have a chance to step back. Tiki's one of those guys. If he steps back and he pauses while I'm yelling something, you hit him. That you got to protect yourself at all times. You got to be ready to fight. So if a guy is like in the middle of a pause and something like that, you teach him how to come out of that by continuing to fight and continuing to punch him. And it's a little bit annoying because sometimes you feel vulnerable. You feel that the guy's vulnerable, so you don't want to bang on him too bad. But it comes with the territory. And me being a wrestler and being used to just continue to go and listening to what I hear and continue to scrap. It's a little bit annoying because you do see the guys just breaking the action and slowing your tempo, slowing your workout and your conditioning down. So it's bittersweet because sometimes you get an opportunity to, especially if the guy's doing well against you stand-up wise and he gets the time to stop and break, you get that little lick in here. He actually learns how to, all right, this kid's not going to let me listen to my coach and stare over. So it's good to, kind of break them of that as well.
So it's a difficult situation that you get into sometimes during training sessions. But have you had any problems with your training partners? Is there like a training partner that you go, and don't mention his name, I know, because you don't want to embarrass anybody, especially one of your teammates, that you're like, oh, I can't go with this guy because he doesn't follow the flow, he doesn't do it right, he's not trained enough in how the game really works to keep it together?
Oh, yeah, you definitely get those guys. Being that I've been in a lot of different gyms with training MMA and wrestling, you get guys that just don't flow right. There's some guys that you have a harder time as far as wrestling goes, harder time taking them down than you would a really good wrestler just because the reaction's off. They're unorthodox in certain ways and certain things. They're not used to the way you're moving as a high caliber wrestler. And same thing with MMA. You get those guys that just have a funky feel about them that, it just comes with being a fighter. You got to be able to roll with everybody and go with everybody. But there are guys that you're just like, the coach is like, go with this guy. You're like, let me go with the tougher guy or somebody different or somebody not as tough, just because of the annoyance by it. But, in the gym, that happens.
Now, my buddy's dog has got a couple big rescue dog pit bulls, and one of them is she was beat as a young pup, and she's very skittish. She's like any major noise.
How much does she weigh?
She's about 35, 40 pounds. Sweetest dog you ever met in your life. Like I have her around my kids. I have her around small dogs all the time, but any noise she starts going crazy. She's a great watchdog, horrible guard dog. She'll run right up to you, just flip over and start. You trying to kick the burglar out of the house. She's flipping over.
And they'll protect you, bro. They'll be there for you.
Yeah, it's Panda definitely has her issues. So, what is it like with Bellator now? I'm asking all the fighters that they're fighting for Bellator. Now that Scott Coker's in there, a lot of the guys haven't had a chance yet to really see the difference of what Scott has been going on. Have you noticed anything at all since Scott's been in there? He's only been in there for less than 3 weeks.
Yeah, I haven't yet. We haven't sat down, me and Dave Thomas as TNT management. We haven't sat down with Coker yet and talked about anything yet. But I am excited. I was a little bit saddened in the beginning that Bjorn was fired or whatever happened with the case. He was bought out or whatever. So I was a little bit sad because Bjorn was a guy that brought me in. Bjorn was a guy that looked after me, and then we sat down and had our meetings about my future in MMA and my future with Bellator. And I really, really liked the guy. He's somebody that I introduced my family to, and I thought was going to be there for a long, long time. So when the news came through, I really didn't know what to think, man. I was a little bit shocked. I was a little bit nervous. I was a little bit scared to say, I don't know what's going on. The guys that were in good with Bellator and Bjorn are now in disarray, and the guys that were in bad could get a refresh or a whole restart. So, it was definitely just a odd situation. And no, I haven't been able to see the differences in the two owners or the two CEOs because we really haven't spoke to them. But as of right now, the focus has completely been on Poppies Martinez, July 25th in that fight. After that fight, then I'll start to worry about, management and CEOs and the big dogs, contracts and all that stuff. Right now, I got to make this 145-pound weight class and put on a good show.
How is your weight? How's your weight doing right now?
Weight's doing good, man. I'm actually looking at myself in the camera, and I'm looking very skinny. Like I can see my jawline and everything. But I'm about 14 over right now, which is really good compared to. I mean, I haven't dropped to 45 since 2008, and but I did it well. I did a lot of good running and a lot of good dieting and things like that. So it wasn't just the same old wrestler cut like I would do for 55 because I'm coming from a much larger distance, but it's going well. It's Paul Herrera put me on a scale check yesterday, so I was about 58, 59, and he wants me to continue to drop it and continue to come down. So I'm just sticking with the plan and listening to the coaches.
That's Bubba Jenkins getting ready to fight Poppies Martinez coming up here at Bellator, July 25th. Bubba, thanks for coming on here, man. As always, I appreciate you coming through. It's been a good streak for me having you on here. Every time you come on, you seem to wow the crowd after one of our interviews. So hopefully it'll happen again.
Absolutely, man. Hopefully I wow the crowd in the cage, man. I've been hearing about these wrestlers humping legs and humping people to their wins. I'm going to definitely try not to do that this fight. Even when I do take guys down and beat them up, I try to make it look as vicious as possible. There's no humping in my game. But for this fight, I'm going to definitely try to put on a little bit of a show and show more of my striking ability.
Perfect. All right, Bubba. Talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later, Trigg.